Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In our previous videos, we have discussed some of the important concepts regarding tuples, right? So, in our very previous video, we have seen how we can access the elements from the tuple, right? So, in this video, we will be knowing one more important concepts regarding tuple, which is nothing but packing and unpacking. So watch the video till the end so that you can able to clearly understand what is this tuple packing and unpacking and how it works. So let us go ahead and understand the tuple packing first. So let's say what I will be doing is that I will be considering this particular 1, 2, 3 here. So we know that by simply mentioning this particular 1, 2, 3, we can consider this as a tuple, right? So for that reason, I am taking T1, and now if I execute this, and after that, if I print this particular T1, and if I print this particular type of this particular T1, if I execute this, we can see we are getting this particular 1, 2, 3. After assigning this particular T1, we are getting as a tuple, right? So after that, we are also getting the type which is nothing but tuple. So let's say if I take this particular 3, comma, and if I take T2 here, and if I print T2, and if I execute this, still we are getting this particular T2 as a tuple, right? So even if I print the type of this particular T2, we still get this particular type which is nothing but tuple, right? So this is what the packing. So to understand clearly, we will be having the different elements. Even if you don't mention the parentheses, it will be considered as a tuple and packed as a tuple. So by simply mentioning these two commas, we can consider the packing elements of all the elements mentioned in here considered as a pack of elements, and that pack of elements considered as a single tuple. So this is the simply about tuple. So we will be understanding more clearly about unpacking. So let us go ahead and see how we can unpack the elements. So this is the packing, right? So we are packing the elements by simply mentioning the commas, and the packed element is nothing but the tuple. So let us go ahead and see the unpacking. So unpacking will be very interesting. Let us see. Let's say I will take the same tuple. If I print T1 here, so previously first we have taken this particular T1, right? So if I print this particular T1, we are having three elements, right? So let's say what I will be doing is that see and observe, you can able to understand. So I am taking A, B, C here, and I will be assigning this particular T1 here. So after that, I will print A here, and I will print, so I will print in the same print here A comma B comma C, and I will mention this particular end as a new line character so that we can able to get A, B, C in the new line. So if I execute this, you can able to see we are getting A, B, C here, right? So A, B, C we are getting in the single line itself. So we need to mention separate, right? So we don't have any new line. So we need to mention separate. So if I execute this, you can see we are getting A, B, C in the new line characters. So we don't manually assign 1, 2, 3 values to A, B, C, right? So we have assigned a tuple here. So even after assigning a tuple, these are considered as A, B, C as a individual elements. So how that happens? So let us go ahead and see manually how it happens. Let's say I will take A1, B1 and C1. So after that I will assign 10, 20, 30. So what I am doing here is that I am taking three variables A, B, C separated by comma, and I am taking three values here separated by comma. So I am executing this, and after that if I print A1, B1 and C1, and I will be mentioning, so I will simply print like this. And if you can see, observe carefully here, we are getting 10, 20, 30. So so I will remove this particular A1, B1, C1. You can able to understand clearly with this particular A1 itself. So we are getting 10 here, and if I print B1 here, we are getting 20, and if I print C1 here, and we are getting 30. So though we haven't mentioned each variable in each line, so by simply mentioning these particular values like this, and by mentioning these variables like this, we can able to unpack these elements, and we can able to assign each element to each variable. So to make you clearly understand, this is what the unpacking. We will be mentioning a tuple. So this is nothing but a tuple, right? So if we don't mention this particular three variables, So I'm removing all of these three variables and I'm executing this. And if I execute this particular A1, so this is as a tuple, right? So we are converting this tuple as a three elements previously. So here also you can able to understand carefully, we are having three elements in this particular T1. So after that, by mentioning this particular A, B, C values, those three elements are unpacked and assigned to each variable here. So after we are printing this particular ABC, we are getting the unpacked elements in A and B and C. So you can able to see the result here. So this is what the unpacking that we are having. So we will be having a tuple, and by mentioning the each value, we will be unpacking that, right? So is this only happening with tuple? So let us consider the list and check it once. So I am considering a list, and in my list I am having A1, A1, comma 2. So let's say I will consider, let's say I will take A11 and B11 here. So if I assign this and if I execute this, we can able to see the result A11 and B11. So I will print this particular A11 here, and you can able to see we are getting 1. And if I print this particular B11 here, and if I print, we can able to see this particular with this particular list also we are having the same functionality. So by this we can able to understand whatever the iterable that we have, so we can get those iterable and assign each values like this, and we can unpack the elements inside of a iterable. So let us go ahead and see with the string. So string is also considered as iterable, right? So I'm taking this particular like, and I will consider this as a string by mentioning in the single quotes here. So I will take this particular like variable. So this is the like variable and this is the like string here. So here, if I mention, so we don't want this particular like, right? So I will just mention, let's say A, comma B, comma C, comma D here. And after that, if I execute this, we are not getting anything. And if I print A, and we can able to see we are getting L. If I print this particular B, we can able to get I. So like this, these iterable will be unpacked, and all the values inside of this particular iterable will be assigned to the values here. So like this particular process will be happening, unpacking of the iterable and assigning each value of the iterable to each variable here. So like this, we can able to see we are having four elements, right? So let us go back and understand with the tuple itself. So I will take a tuple with 1 comma 2 comma 3 here. So I will take A comma B comma C here. So after that, I will be executing this. So when we have equal elements in this pack and equal elements in the variables, we can able to do that, right? So this is executing, right? So let's say if I remove this particular C and if I execute this, and we are getting error which is nothing but value error, too many values to unpack, which is saying the values in this particular tuple is more, and the values the variables we have very less. So because of that reason we cannot unpack this. So this is the one of the problem that we will be facing when we have imbalanced variables and imbalanced tuples or any iterable. So in order to handle this, we have one more approach, which is nothing but mentioning this particular asterisk here. So I'm mentioning an asterisk to this particular B, and if I execute this, this is got executed, and if I print this particular A, we will be getting 1. And if I print this particular B here, and we can see we are getting a list with the values of 2 comma 3. So what's happening here is that we are having this particular 1 and we are having this particular A. So for that reason, this 1 will be assigned to this particular A. Later, we are having only 1 B and we are having two elements 2 and 3. So as we have two elements and we are having only one variable, as we have mentioned this particular asterisk, whatever the remaining values that we have inside of this particular tuple, those will be assigned to this particular B, because we have mentioned this particular asterisk, right? So because of that reason only, we are getting as a result a list of values present inside of this particular B. So let us go ahead and understand in the different way. So I will mention this particular asterisk A, and I will mention this particular B. So I will take the same example 1 comma 2 comma 3, and I am executing this. It is got executed, and if I print this particular A, we are getting 1 and 2 for A, and if I print B here, I'm printing B, and if I execute this, we are getting 3. So this is how this is happening here is that first it will be counting how many number of variables that we have. We have 2 variables, right? So how many number of elements we have? We have 3 elements, right? So we cannot assign each element to each variable. So because of that reason, this B will be this 3 will be assigned to this particular B, and the rest of the elements that we have will be assigned to this particular A, because we have mentioned this particular asterisk, right? So I hope you can able to understand how these two values are assigned to this particular A and how we are getting this particular list. So this is the same example, the same behavior with the previous. So wherever you are mentioning this particular asterisk, the remaining value will be assigned to this particular element or considered as variable. So let us go ahead and see one more example. Let's say I will mention 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and I will take A comma B. So I will mention this particular asterisk to this particular middle element. I will also consider one more element here. So I am executing this, and if I print this particular A, we are getting 1, very good. And if I print B, we are getting 2 and 3. So if I print C, we are getting 4. So by this you can able to understand more clearly. We are mentioning asterisk to the middle value, right? So to this particular B itself. So because of that reason, we are getting 2 and 3, and it was first counting how many number of uh, uh, variables we are having. So based on the variables count, it will be assigning. So we have one variable at the beginning and one variable at the end. So it was keeping the elements for the beginning element and for the end element. So we have the rest of the values will be assigned to this particular B, because we are mentioning this particular asterisk. So I hope you can able to understand how this process is happening. So let's say if I replace this particular tuple with a list by mentioning the square braces here, and if I execute this, still we can able to get the result. So like this, this process will be happening any iterable for that matter. So why I'm discussing very specifically with regarding of this particular tuple is because this will be used very frequently whenever we are using functions or classes, right? So we haven't discussed much about these functions. Whenever we discuss about this function, in the case also we will be discussing how this particular packing and unpacking works. So to explain simply, I will take one function. So by using this def, we will be defining a function. So I will take a function. So instead of this function, I won't take anything. So just I will be explaining, right? So I am taking 10 and 10 for A, and I will take B, and for B I will be taking this particular 20. So I will return this particular A and B. So here I am taking A and B, and here I am taking this particular A and B, returning A and B, right? So I am executing this function. So we have defined this function, right? So we need to call that function. So for that reason, I am calling this function, and if I execute this, we are getting a tuple, right? So you can observe carefully, we are getting a tuple. So if I check the type of this particular function, if I execute this, we are getting a tuple, right? So the reason is because this function is returning a tuple. Because of that reason only, we are getting the result as a tuple. So I hope you can able to understand why I have specifically mentioning this particular packing and unpacking in tuples, because of that this reason only. So whenever we are discussing these particular functions, in those case also, I will be explaining more about this particular function, this particular packing and unpacking. So for this video, I hope you can able to understand the packing and unpacking. Packing simply means packing of these elements whenever we have elements separated by comma, and the packed element is considered as a tuple, right? So it was only considered as a tuple. It is not considered as a list or string something else. It was only considered as tuple. That is also one of the reason I have specifically discussing this packing in this particular tuples. So after that, we have discussed about unpacking. Whenever we are having the tuple element, we will be mentioning and unpacking those elements with the variables and getting all the variables here. So I hope you can able to understand all the packing and unpacking. So apart from this, we can unpack the elements in any iterable. We have discussed that with this particular list and string, right? So I hope you can able to understand that. After that, we have discussed whenever we are having the imbalanced variables and elements, in such case we can use this particular asterisk to get all the elements to this particular specific variable. So the returning element for this particular asterisk variable is nothing but a list. So I hope you can able to understand. One more thing you can able to understand here. Let's say I am having two elements here, and if I execute this, for A I am getting 1, and if I execute this particular B, we are getting 2. So though we have specific elements, two elements here and two variables here, as I have mentioned this particular asterisk, for B we are getting a list within the single elements. That is also one of the important thing to be considered. So we have discussed all the things that need to be discussed in this particular packing and unpacking. So I hope you can able to understand all the concepts explained in this video. If that is so, if you found this video interesting, hit the like button. In the next video, we will be seeing this particular tuple concatenation and tuple multiplication. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. So to stay updated with my latest videos, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.